Hey everybody, welcome to the Ernie Chen Show live. And of course, I've got a very wonderful guest here again today for this episode. And he's on his way here. Before he comes, we always go live at 12:30 sharp. And while we wait for the rest of you to come online over here, and of course, most important is to make sure that you go and tag, share, and get as many people as you can to watch this show, because I've got a very cool guy here today. He is actually the executive producer, founder of Laugh Out Loud Asia. And of course, we're going to see how he's going to make me laugh all the way to the bank. And we're going to get him to come in here soon, shortly. So if you just come on the show right now, this is the Ernie Chen Show, live, brought to you by Ernie Chen, of course. And today I've got a very amazing, fantastic guest to share with you his story as to how we actually got here together. So I'm going to be inviting Rizal coming in here shortly. So please stay by and make sure you share and tag and let the whole world know that you are already here. So if you are here, please make sure you put a +1 to let me know that you are here. And of course, we're going to be going live here shortly with Rizal. He has just arrived and I'm going to be getting him to come in here so that we will be able to start the show with Rizal over here when he is ready. So my team has gone out to get him. It's been a busy time because he organizes a lot of comedy shows. We will ask him a lot more about his shows coming up. And also for those of you who have never seen a stand-up comedy show is where a person stands in front on a stage or in front of a crowd, an audience like you, where he will make you laugh, whoever they may be. And he is actually very well known because he is one of the largest and biggest comedy producers. And he will be here to share with you how he actually got into this industry, in this field, and also how he brought in big names like Russell Peters and also Kevin Hart and all the big names in comedy. How did he manage to do that? We're going to ask him these questions so that you will know and you'll be able to see how a person like him, a Malaysian, who is able to do so amazing, fantastic, amazing jobs. So if you're ready to bring in Rizal, we're going to invite and bring Rizal over to the Ernie Chen Show. We are going live right now. Do share, do tag, and let the whole world know what an amazing person that's going to come and share his story with you. Hey, here we go. We have Rizal. Come on, Rizal. What's up, bro? Good. Come and sit, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Rizal from Laugh Out Loud Asia. He is the largest and the biggest comedy producer in the whole of Malaysia for sure, and soon to be Asia. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Rizal.
Thank you, Ernie.
Yes.
Thank you for the lovely and big introduction.
You are big because you're so big, and of course we have to give you a big introduction. Before I go into the show and let everyone know how I know you and what you've been doing, I'm going to ask you three quick questions over here.
Questions.
You have to answer either one of the two choices.
Okay.
This is for my audience to get to know you better so that they know why Ernie Chen also have a friend from the comedy scene and why is he here today. So, three quick questions. You cannot say both. You have to answer either one.
Alright.
First question. Nasi lemak or chicken chop?
Nasi lemak.
Very good.
Yeah.
Business or holiday?
Business.
Business.
Business and holiday at the same time.
Business and holiday at the same time.
I do that all the time.
You do that all the time, but business comes first, right?
Business first.
Okay, very good. Third question and final question. Friends or family?
Who? Family.
Family first. All right, very good. That was a hard one. Huh?
No, actually easy. But,
Easy, You seem like it was very difficult for you to answer the question. Or the person in front there standing right in front there is hard to not answer.
That's family, so you know she's family, so I have to answer.
So if I got a girlfriend over here, then we'll be friends, is it? or she is the friend and the family. Okay, you don't know that I'm going to put you in a tough spot over here. For those of you who do not know, that I've known, I think, Rizal for more than 10 years when I was actually on the reality show called The Firm, the Malaysian version of The Apprentice, right?
Yes.
We were up on Rizal's office,
Office,
working out in the late nights, doing designs for our projects and our products.
That was with my design company back then.
Yes, that was his design company back then, and it was very interesting because I think he just started to venture into this comedy scene.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago.
10-year anniversary just a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
So I'm about right on that, right?
Yeah, on the dot.
So was it because I was so funny during that time that you decided, hey, you know what? We can go into this comedy world and do a big show of it?
That's right. You inspired me, Ernie.
I inspired to be having this funny life, right? Do you consider yourself a funny person, Rizal?
No. No.
You're not a funny person at all.
No, I'm not. I tell dad jokes all the time with my kids and they don't laugh.
And they don't laugh. So is that why that your kids told you, hey dad, you know, you're not that funny. I think you better go and do the business side of things of this funny business.
I think that's one of the reasons why I'm in this business. I like to laugh.
Sure.
I think laughter is a very positive and essential
Sure.
trait of a person. You know, you need to laugh and you need to do that all the time in order to boost your mood and make you happy. And I like to laugh. So I like to laugh, but you know, since I'm not funny, and you're not supposed to laugh at your own jokes anyway.
Sure. It's
So-
kind of funny to hear that from a not funny man who produces funny shows for people to laugh. You know, you must be a sick man inside there somewhere to want to be making people laugh all the time, but at the same time, you're not a funny man by nature.
Well, you know, a lot of funny people are not very good at business.
I see. So they need a businessman to manage and promote them being funny for people to.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's my role.
Sure. Now, I want to ask you, why in the world did you even think about this business? Because stand-up comedy, the comedy scene in Malaysia, I mean, we're Malaysians, it's not a big scene at all. In fact, it's such an unknown scene 10 years ago. What gave you that idea that you could be doing this as a business?
Well, it came as an opportunity. I had an opportunity to bring stand-up comedians on a regular basis.
Sure.
Yeah.
What
and,
opportunity? I mean, what ways of that opportunity came about?
A friend of mine in Singapore started bringing comedians, international comedians on a regular basis.
I see.
And I decided, I asked him, like, I want to do this in KL.
Sure.
Because I know people in KL needs to laugh more.
Sure.
And at that time, there weren't a lot of choices.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember very clearly you invited to me one of the earliest shows where Dr. Jason Leong was his first ever stand-up show that you gave him an opportunity. A lot of people don't realize that you gave a lot of comics their first break. So I want to give a shout out to actually Rizal over here. A lot of people don't give him enough credit
Thank you.
for giving a lot of comics their first break. I also gave a few of them a first break.
Which one?
Kevin J and also like Big Papa
Papi Zack.
Papi Zack. They came onto my stage at Out Loud Studios below your office back
right,
then.
right. Yes,
so
yes,
we had
yes,
a
yeah.
monthly Out Loud event.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so they were nobody back then, and they were just on the stage. We didn't charge people. We just gave them a platform, and we had a month on comedy shows. So people like you and me, you know, we started a lot of careers. I hope they still know how to appreciate you to today. So
Well, they do, right?
They do, right?
Yeah.
So I remember
We're all
seeing.
in this together.
Yeah. So I remember seeing Jason Leong. It was at the old the club Zouk. Yeah,
Zouk.
it was Zouk.
Yeah.
You were having
Velvet Underground.
Correct. And that was his first ever show. I remember he came on stage. He was funny as hell, you know. And people like you actually gave him the break and introduced the comic scene in Malaysia to me also, which I thought you did a fantastic thing. Now, how in the world from such small Malaysian acts you were able to then scale it so quickly, so fast, to bring people in like Russell Peters? You were able to bring in people like Kevin Hart. You know, you were like the guy who bring in all these really #1 global comedians. Well, how were you able to do that?
Well, at the start, it was a lot about giving the opportunities for the local comics
Sure.
who perform next to an international comedian.
Sure.
And when they perform together, they learn. You know, these international comedians, the world is huge because they've been 10 years ago, they've traveled to like 50, 60 countries, perform all over the world, and then they come to Malaysia, they see a fresh audience,
Sure.
fresh audience, fresh talent
Sure.
who has not done a lot of performances, and so from there our grassroots started to grow.
Okay.
And from knowing all these international comedians, we built our contacts, and we built a base, and the real big opportunity came when Russell Peters came. Yeah.
So that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
And I remember clearly at you had some challenges bringing Russell Peters in. I'm going to go into that. If you just came onto the show, to the Ernie Chen show live over here, I'm with the man himself, the producer, executive producer of Laugh Out Loud Asia, Rizal over here, the man, the #1 guy in the comedy scene in the whole of Malaysia and soon to be Asia. Now, if you have not seen and not shared, now it's time for you to share, tag your friends. If you want to know how to get into the comedy scene, you want to produce a show, you got to get in touch with this man over here, Rizal. You can just tag and then we'll put his contact down.
Spill it all. Spill it all.
He's going to spill it and show you how you can become a producer as also become a stand-up comedy.
It's time to ask.
There's a question over here. Before I ask you the further question onto that, from Primus Lim, how do you deal with failure when you fail?
To deal with failure.
Let's say you put up a show, right? And it fails.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. So the key thing is to have a focus on what you're going to do in the future.
Sure.
To have a long-term plan and to expect that not everything is going to go well.
Sure.
So when one thing fails, you are looking forward to another thing that you will push for success.
Okay.
And that is just it's an ongoing thing.
Sure.
You do things, you take on projects, you tend to fail some, but if you succeed more than you fail, then you'll just continue.
So you just have to expect that some of your shows that you produce are gonna fail.
Yeah.
You just have to fail less than you succeed.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So you got the answer there, Lim Primus. That's the answer. Succeed more than you fail. But it's okay to fail because we're expecting to fail. And most entrepreneurs I speak to, they actually go through that. It doesn't matter whether it's a stand-up comedy show or whether it's actually a business or other things, right? That's just the way it works. So the next thing I want to actually check with you is this. I remember you told me at that time, it was a really, really tough time to bring in Russell Peters, right? And I think it was something to do with the law. And what was the problem, and how did you overcome that problem?
When I first brought Russell in 2012, there was no allocation or no category for stand-up comedian.
I see.
Yeah, so it was it went under MC.
I see.
So because the law was a little bit
Master of ceremony.
Great. Yeah, master of ceremony.
Master of ceremony. Okay.
Yeah, so. Because they're not singers,
okay.
They're not dancers,
okay.
They're not circus performers,
okay.
which are all the categories there. There is no category for stand-up comedy. So the government did not know how to define. So we brought in several comics over the past couple of years or so before we brought in Russell. But
it was not a big scale.
But Russell, we are asking for 16,000 audience.
Wow.
And they're like, wait, okay, from 300 shows, you're now bringing this to the masses.
Sure.
What are we going to do about it? What is he going to say on stage? How do we control and so forth? So we had to go through several rounds of appeals, and we had to get some support from people who love comedy. Important people who love comedy.
Politicians who are in power.
Politicians, and that time we were politicians plus some people from the royalty.
Okay.
Yes.
But we know Russell Peters is a big name. We know that he's pretty vulgar. We know that he is pretty racism. I mean, you got to have racism inside your comedy show to make it funny. Sexism. You literally need to be able to speak about anything and everything.
Yes.
So how did you manage to overcome that even with royalty? I mean, we are in a Muslim country. We are in a religion that is our national religion, which is Islam. How do you overcome all these things?
Well, for one thing, when I choose comics, I don't censor them.
Yes.
Okay? So that is the most important thing, because if I try to censor them, they react negatively or they just won't become funny. Alright? I'm messing with their craft.
Or not even come to Malaysia at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't like to mess with the craft of a comedian.
Sure.
But a good comedian knows the level of acceptance of a culture. Yeah. So if they go to Saudi Arabia, they will perform to a level that does not offend.
Habibi.
The Habibis. Yeah. If they go to China, don't make Chinese racist jokes.
Sure.
So when they come to Malaysia, I teach them about the culture.
Okay.
And then they will understand, okay, no, I can't do jokes about this. They themselves understand.
Sure.
And they deliver what we call comedy right to the edge. So this edge is an invisible line of acceptance by a culture.
Sure. And I understand that it was a sold-out show.
Yeah.
You had to do a second night or something like that?
Yes, that's how it came to 16,000. So
I see.
8,000 per night. We sold tickets. We were in the we broke the record for the fastest selling tickets at that time.
How do you manage to do that? Was it Russell Peters' name, or was it you as being a fantastic, amazing promoter of a show?
I would love to claim 100% credit on that, but it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of marketing, magic, plus it was Russell's popularity.
Okay, and you kind of ride on top of that success, and then since then you decided that, you know what, this is a pretty damn good business, right?
Yeah.
And you get to fly over to watch comedians for free since you're producing them.
Yes.
What was the next big plan after Russell Peters for you? And how did you decide to take it forward?
Before Russell, we were just in Malaysia.
Sure.
In a sense that we make calls, we email agents, talent managers and whatnot. So right after Russell, we decided, hey, it's time to go to the US and talk to the people who manages all the talents. And that's what we did. We went to LA and we had about a dozen meetings. Just went to each and every big agent in Hollywood, and they are willing to see us. Why? Oh, this is the guy that brought down Russell Peters to Malaysia. Sold 16,000 tickets. Oh, come. Let's have a chat.
So how long did it take before you get to the Russell Peters show? How many years was that?
So we started in June 2009.
Okay.
That was our first show. And Russell Peters was March 2012.
Wow, that was just about 3 years?
Yeah, less than
about 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So you got some pretty big balls, right, to bring in such a big name that could possibly put you into a bankrupt situation if the show was cancelled.
that statement applies not just to me, to all concert promoters. You know, it's a lot of times it's do or die. You know, you do. You work it, and if you fail, you can get bankrupt.
Yeah, and I think that's where I like you a lot. You know, I like people who are like me, got some big balls to dare to do things that people don't dare to do. You know, and that actually got you that 16,000 people, which then become a story that all these LA big boys was willing to speak to you.
Yeah.
Because they themselves probably never did that big, or they did stadiums of 30,000, 100,000, and they probably say, you know what, this is a good entry point for me to get to Asia.
Exactly. They were like, there's a market in Asia. We didn't know that.
Sure.
We didn't know that the comedy has arrived in Asia.
Sure.
So they were curious. They were asking about how the market was, how many comedians are in Malaysia, and would you like to bring more comics?
Sure.
And so that opened the door to all the comics that came right after.
So which are some of the biggest names of the comics that actually are under your roof of promoting them over this region?
I mean the local and regional comics?
Yeah.
Or the...
Well, both all over the world, and also the regional and the local comics. So who are those under your banner that you are the one actively promoting them?
Currently, my number one star is Kumar from Singapore.
Really? That's cool, man.
Yeah. So we've done a nationwide tour twice.
Nationwide is in Malaysia?
Malaysia nationwide tour.
So when you say nationwide, where do you usually tour to?
KK, Kuching, KL, of course, Ipoh, Penang, JB, Melaka. We've even gone to Langkawi with Kumar.
And usually what kind of a size of a crowd when you go to all these different spots? Do you do at clubs? Do you do at bars? Or where do you hold these events?
Per tour, we sell about 10,000 tickets.
Per tour?
Per tour. So 7 cities. Of course, KL has the biggest capacity, so about 5,000 plus. And about 500 to 1,000 in each city.
And also, what are the pricing of the tickets like, and what kind of
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap?
Yeah, it's an average of about 180 ringgit.
Per ticket?
Per ticket, average.
That's a lot
it's like
of money.
200 plus to like the cheapest is about 100.
Am I in the wrong business then? I should be going to the comic scene business?
And I have to say, I'm proud of that tour simply because you know how Malaysia is. Our culture. So this is a drag comedian. Who I bring tours around the country, and people love Kumar.
I mean, I love Kumar too. But the question is, how do you get away with a drag queen comedian in Malaysia? That's my question. You know, so how did you manage to do that, and how did you manage to pull that off and didn't get any hit from the Jais or the Jakim and all these other people?
The first time we got permits for Kumar was a show that we did for Kumar in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was tough.
Sure.
It was tough. We had to like convince that Kumar is actually just a funny person.
Sure.
And every year we bring Kumar down to Malaysia, and the shows get bigger and bigger.
I see.
The different thing about Kumar is Kumar's appeal is not as a drag performer. Kumar's appeal is Kumar is extremely funny.
Sure.
Number one.
Sure.
Number two, Kumar manages to catch people's hearts due to the troubles or the tough life that Kumar has gone through.
Okay.
And then Kumar shares that on stage to inspire people.
I see.
Yeah.
So it comes across more of an inspirational comedian that is funny.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So because of that, Kumar is accepted by different races and different cultures across Malaysia.
Sure.
Because of what Kumar represents.
So that goes to the next question. Since Kumar is so cool, right? Who makes the bigger cut? The producer or the comic?
It depends. It depends. A lot of the times, the comic gets the bigger cut.
The comic gets the bigger cut. He gets all the glam. He's the one that everybody loves. You do all the dirty work, and he makes more than you.
Yes.
Is that something that needs to be changed so that the producers who put in so much work, so much risk at hand, and still take the lesser of the both?
Well, for example, the only art scene or entertainment scene where the artist takes less than the producer
Sure.
is K-pop.
Ah.
Simply because they train the artists from, they were like, 12, 13 years old.
Sure.
They invest in a few years of development, and then they may get them signed contracts when they are very young and very early.
Sure.
So a lot of the comedians that I work with are already established.
Okay.
So they have been building their own. Of course, I open opportunities for them, but
Sure.
it's their own effort, it's their own ability that brings them to a certain level.
So do you feel that these comics can be trained, or do they actually have that innate talent where you've seen so many, you work with so many? Some are trying to be funny, but they are never funny. Some try to train themselves to be funnier, but they just don't seem to have it. And some people, they just have that natural instinct. The moment they stand on the stage, they open their mouth, and everybody laughs.
With any other skill, it's a combination of both talent and work. You can be funny, but if you don't learn the art, you don't get the nerves of presenting on stage, you don't have that connection with the audience,
Sure.
you will never get to that level.
Sure.
Yeah.
What would be the 3 tips that you would give anyone aspiring to become a stand-up comedian, a comic that was going to be making a living in Malaysia or in the world?
Stage time is important.
Sure.
Get as much stage time as possible.
Stage time meaning to say get on stage
Get on
and just
stage.
perform, right?
Yeah, the only training that a comedian can do is on stage.
Sure.
Yeah, you can't tell a joke to yourself on the mirror. If you tell the joke to yourself on the mirror, you think it's funny, but it not be funny to a group of 20, 30, 50, 100 strangers.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to connect and engage on that level.
On that level, and it's nuances.
Sure.
The thing about what makes a joke funny is that those little things, that expression on your eye,
That
or
moment and
that
timing.
moment and timing, that slight shrug of the shoulder,
Sure.
or just the little words that you say. So those are the ones that trigger, and that cannot be taught, or that cannot be refined off stage. It can only be done on stage.
So you got to have stage time to refine it according to the reaction and responses of the audience.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Second thing.
Understand the culture of comedy. There are a lot of rules, and these rules are learned when you talk with other comics and you go to comedy clubs and do the open mics. You learn the rules.
Sure.
So rules are meant to be broken.
Sure.
But some rules are just there for a reason, especially for newbies.
You sound like you're not talking about stand-up comedy. You sound like you're talking about business.
It's the same
it's
principle,
the same
isn't
principle,
it?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds the same. It's just that it's applied to a comedy scene because it's a business in itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Good. And the third thing?
Be humble, because a lot of people think, oh, when I drink, I'm funny. All my friends laugh. Being funny with your friends and being funny with strangers
Sure.
are two totally different things.
Sure.
The people off stage, they will judge you. Your friends don't judge you.
Correct.
Yeah. So who you are will be presented on stage.
Sure.
So the golden rule of comedy is you got to present with a certain amount of honesty.
Sure.
Funny comes from honesty.
Sure.
Yeah, you can embellish.
Sure.
But the source of it is honesty.
So you don't really OTT over the top all the time. You just be honest, speaking the truth, and let that roll.
Yes, ish. So stories are best told with exaggeration.
Of course.
And then the funny bits you can lie or mix it up.
Sure.
But if you make up total stories, the audience will know, and then they'll see through you.
Sure.
Yeah, and so that's why any comic material has to come from a real honest source.
I mean, I speak the truth all the time. Not sure you watch my videos, but I've been having lots of videos, and all my videos go online. I get lovers, I get haters, right? And it's literally just speaking the truth. Because bottom line, when you speak the truth, you are not meant to be suiting to everybody's needs and wants and desires. So you're gonna get people who's gonna hate you. Have you experienced anyone of your comics who have done probably, it's a funny guy, it's a good show, but somehow or another, you get some assholes in the crowd who just somehow don't like you, don't enjoy it, and just hurl criticisms at the live show? Before you answer that, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Ernie Chen Show live. I am here with Rizal from Laugh Out Loud Asia. Please tag, share if you want to know the business of funny business. This is the man who knows everything about funny business, about stand-up comedy. He's the one that's been promoting a lot of stand-up comedians, popularized that business in Malaysia and now all over Asia. You got to be checking out this show and make sure you follow him and also watch his shows, which I'm going to ask him about his latest shows coming up. Of course, Kuma is one of the shows that he brings nationwide in Malaysia. So the question I asked just now, Rizal, back to it.
Yeah.
Have you experienced yourself as a producer of a show and a comic putting so much effort, and all of a sudden some people in the audience just started walking out and yelling and screaming and say, what kind of stupid show is this? And how do you react to that?
The jokes are not meant for everyone. And different people have different levels of tolerance.
Sure.
In the sense that, some people get offended very easily.
Sure.
Some people are just, it's very difficult to offend that person. So the level of your level of tolerance, when every time you go to a comedy club,
Sure.
it actually improves.
Sure.
Yeah, you get less and less offended, so you're not so stuck up.
So you're going to watch more shows then?
Watch more shows.
Yeah, go support and buy more tickets on Laugh Out Loud and watch more shows. That's the next question over here. What do you think about the recent high-rated movie, which is not very funny, but it is Joker?
I love that movie.
It's meant to be funny. Name Joker is supposed to be funny, but it's actually quite dark, and I think it's pretty cool. I enjoyed the movie myself too.
Before we continue,
Sure.
I just want to say that we have rebranded. We used to be LOL Events.
Oh, okay.
Now we are LOL Asia.
Sure.
As May mentioned, and we like to be known as either LOL Asia or the young guys, kids call us LOL Asia.
LOL Asia.
Yeah.
LOL Asia. Laugh Out Loud or LOL Asia. That's what they want to be known as. They no longer just do events because they are making you laugh out loud. LOL Asia, over Asia. So remember that brand, because that brand is young and hip, and that's why Rizal is not that young, but he's pretty young and hip at heart, and that's what makes him young and hip, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Joker then?
I love the movie.
Okay.
And especially for me in this business of
Sure.
making people laugh, it presented the darker side.
Is that how all comedians are like? Are they like on their own, like you also, here you are this happy-go-lucky guy, but in the back you're sitting down, you're like sad and depressed and like making everyone happy all the time, but you're just so sad and depressed?
I think everyone has that tendency. There is a spectrum of a piece of you which is dark and sad, because in life nothing ever goes perfectly.
Sure.
So there's the happy bit where you're a success, and then there's also the sad bit where you fail at certain things, whether it's business, life, relationship, and so forth. So how do you manifest the good bit and the bad bit?
Sure.
If you focus on the bad bit, of course, you can become depressed and sad and so forth. And with regards to comedians,
Sure.
they go on stage and they let themselves go. And
Sure.
they are being real
Okay.
on stage. They open themselves up. So they leave themselves to a lot of criticism.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's always that the best one, you have your lovers and you have your haters.
Sure.
If you only have lovers, you're not doing things right.
There you go.
Yeah, so you just need more lovers than haters. But
Correct.
the haters sometimes gets to the person, and for comedians who open themselves up,
Sure.
they receive the negative bits as much as the positive bits.
Sure.
But when they do receive the negative bits, they get into sort of like they go into a dark place.
Sure. So I gotta make sure that you're wearing a vest, that's why I'm a bit concerned. You don't change your hair to become green. You don't change your vest and wear a coat that is purple in color. I have to make sure that I don't give you a gun and loan you a gun, and make sure you don't hold a scissors, right? So I don't want to die and come and visit you and then kill me, because the dark side of that may come out, right? We are coming to the end of the show. Time is running out on us. So what I want you to do right now is, if you could tell us your upcoming shows by LOL. Did I say correctly?
LOL or LOL.
LOL Asia. You know, what are the upcoming shows from LOL Asia, and of course, to all stand-up comedians who are upcoming comics who want to be, and producers who want to follow your footsteps, what are some of the things that they should be doing?
Okay, my show is
Your show first.
Okay, I have a big show. This is taking a step forward.
Sure.
I do a lot of stand-up comedy where the artist performs alone.
Sure.
But I'm going into more theatre type comedy.
Okay.
Where there's stand-up, there's dancing, funny dances, there's skits, and different types of performances.
So it's a mixture of a lot of different
mixture.
things.
We're gonna have a lip sync battle in there as well. Yeah. So I get all these fantastic stars.
Sure.
12 of them to come into a show, and they're gonna do all of these crazy things to perform.
Can you give us some trailer on what's the title of it? And,
Oh yes, the title is Laughmania.
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 Okay.
And the artist in there is Joanne Kam, who is also the director.
Sure.
Vince Chong.
Sure.
The project Disco.
Vince Chong is funny. I thought he's a singer, right?
Yeah, he can sing,
Okay.
but he also does all these funny videos.
I see.
So we get him on stage.
Cool.
Hirzi from Singapore.
Okay.
Big social media star.
Sure.
And a group called Project Disco Baldi, who had their own TV show before.
Sure, sure.
Now this whole group are going to perform with us.
Cool. Excellent. When is this show happening?
31st October till 2nd November at the platform, KMTTR.
Where can we get your tickets?
proticket.com.my, or just go to our website at wearelol.asia.
wearell.asia. You can get all the tickets over there. Are there any special deals for any people who are coming, or the promo period is already done?
I think we're still on early bird. I think because we have early bird categories, and
Sure.
then we will sell that early bird tickets until that quota is done. So
Sure.
I think we have some left.
How many per day? How many seats per day? How many shows per day?
We're gonna have one show per day. We're doing 3 shows. If it's successful, we're gonna add 1 or 2 shows more.
And there are lots of more tickets, right?
Yeah, yes. Tickets
Cool.
are
I'm going to be buying the tickets because I want to be laughing out loud. I want to be having a fantastic time at Laughmania with all these cool guys and my buddy over here at Rizal. So please make sure go to Pro Tickets, or what? Pro Tickets, is that right?
Proticket.com.
Protickets.com.my, and also going to their website, LOL Asia. Buy those tickets. We are LOL, so make sure buy the tickets. Go watch with lots of people, laugh together, because we are short of a lot of happiness. And the second part, what is the advice that you have for these entrepreneurs or stand-up comedians who want to get into your business or want to be in the stand-up comedy business?
If you want to get into the business, you gotta love this. For the start, especially, there's actually not a lot of money.
Sure.
You have to get to a certain skill before you make money.
So you are making lots of money now, so you're at a certain skill already, right?
Yeah, there's a few years where it was like really up and down.
Sure.
Because being pioneers, we experiment. There's some things we experiment and we fail, and some things we experiment and it works. And from that lesson, we make more business that's successful in that line. So be prepared to do do and fail, but just keep on going.
So just like any other businesses, we are always looking at the way forward where no one has done. You got to always be in the pain, and you just got to keep doing it, because if you love doing it, you keep doing it until you find the formula.
That's right.
Do you consider yourself finding the formula already for success in this business?
Not too bad.
Not too bad, right? So if you can laugh out loud about that at the finale over here, I would like to close off, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank our guest here today from LOL Asia, Rizal, the man behind the whole show.
Thank you, Ernie, for having me here.
Thank you very much for coming up here. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the show this afternoon at the Ernie Chen Show Live. Remember to catch us and tune in every single Thursday, where we have a fantastic guest entrepreneur in a very unique business, where they will share with you their successes, their failures, and how to make it in the business that they're in. With that, thank you very much for watching. I'm Ernie signing out with Rizal. Peace. See you next time.